And this has been my kitchen.
Alright, I think that's enough Wawa. I have a full pan of Wawa here. I'm going to put the Wawa down onto the stove. It's a cute name for water. I mean,
Wawa! I want my Wawa!
No, but tonight we're taking an interesting twist on two meals and combining them into one. So let's see what we have here. Let me just reach into our magic refrigerator and pull out our magical ingredients while I come over here and show you exactly what we're working with. Down here I have 2 packages of pork chop fillets, and over here I got bacon. Now you're probably wondering, oh my god, he's going to do filet mignon again. Actually, I'm going to do filet mignon with an apple twist. Today we are going to use apple quarters, those fillets, and wrap both ingredients in bacon. So it's going to be an interesting twist on the way we can make filet mignon. So while that water is boiling for our mac and cheese, and this is going to be for our au gratin potatoes, we're just going to have a full meal tonight, folks, because I'm starving. And I hope you are too. It's time to get cooking with SonicBlu. And apples, and filet mignon, and bacon. Lots of bacon. First thing we're going to do is cut up our apples while we're preparing for everything. Give me that knife, okay? And while we go do that, so let's preheat our oven to 375. Starts, and that's boiling, that's on the boil. So that'll give us enough time to come over here to our apples. And we're just going to, with a serrated blade, as easy as pie, we're going to cut this into quarters, cut that into quarters. And then, well, actually, you know what we can do is cut those into thick wedges. Let's do that. Let's cut these into thick wedges. We might not even need both apples, but you might just need one for 8 fillets. And if you have any apple slices left over, they make a wonderful garnish for your presentation. So let's go ahead and cut away the core, because we don't want apple core in our wedges. So we're just going to cut the cores right out of there. All right, let's get rid of all these bits of core. And the 2 seeds.
There's another seed.
And there goes the seed on the floor. Does that mean a tree is going to grow in my kitchen?
Probably.
There we go. Okay, let's go over to the garbage. Toss that away. Now, come back over here. While that is in the process of heating and that's in the process of boiling, let's go ahead and prepare our porcus choppus.
Porcus choppus?
Porcus choppus. Is that the Latin name for pork chops? Porcus choppus?
I guess. I don't know.
Porcimus choppimus.
There you go. Porcimus choppimus?
Sounds like a magic spell.
Kinda
Porcimus choppimus.
Something from Harry Potter.
I know. That's what I was saying. I just need a magic wand to wave around. Porcimus choppimus. Give me my meal. Please let us do whatever we feel. And if Richard Simmons has something to say, then he can just go right the hell away. Porcimus choppimus.
Or he can just turn gay. Well, of course he already is.
He already is. And that's our pork fillets. Now, next part comes the, let's do the apples next. Nice thick pieces of apple right there. One, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could probably cut them thinner, a little bit thinner there, because we can put 2 on each. So let's do that. Let's cut these a little bit thinner. So now we can put 2 apple wedges down onto our pork chops. And I usually work with sage whenever I work with apples because it really enhances the flavor of that apple really nicely. So we got the
Well, at
apple.
least you're working with sage and not saging.
It would be interesting to be working with Sagen at this point. You'd be like, hey, can I have some apple? Yeah, get another apple from the fridge, but don't touch my wedges. Because then I'm going to touch you and in the place where you don't like. Wait a minute, he might like that.
Yeah. Wouldn't put it past him.
Okay, so we're going to cut open our bacon.
Cut and open a bacon.
This is a
Now that is some thick bacon.
That is very thick
Dang.
That is some very seriously thick bacon, folks.
And that is applewood slow smoked bacon.
Yes, another reason to use applewood smoked bacon on an Apple product.
Look how thick those things are.
Yeah, let's
Those things are thick.
Yes, it is.
Dang.
We're really going to eat good tonight, folks. So now what we're going to do, carefully take our filet with our apple slices on top, and we're just going to wrap this bacon around there. Going to give it a little stretch and then bring it up to the top there.
We need
Put some apple
toothpicks
in.
to hold that down.
Maybe not. Okay. Good. Everything looks fabulous. Okay, let's put this in the garbage. Let me wash my fingies.
Fingies?
I'm going to wash my fingies a little bit because it handled raw foods. And now, we're going to add some seasoning to enhance the flavor of our bacon and apple combination. It's going to be a lot of pork there, folks, especially with that thick of bacon. Yeah, you need thick apple slices to go with that thick bacon. All right, looks like our water is starting to boil up nicely. That's great because we are ready to season, and there's our oven timer. So everything's coming together beautifully. So let's get some seasoning thrown down onto these little devils. And I am using a combination of seasoned salt, ground cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, and thyme, and some paprika, a little chili powder. And a combination of all of those seasonings coming together so nicely. It's going to make a wonderful flavor with the apple to accent it all nicely. Can't wait.
You can just smell that seasoning too.
Oh yes, you'll definitely be able to smell that seasoning and how good it smells too. Just
Holy
dump it on. Yeah, just
crap, that's
dump that on there. Yeah.
We'll leave that one for you.
Well, don't worry. There's not that much sodium in there, so because you're only dealing with the only sodium that you're dealing with is the seasoned salt, but you get a lot of really good flavor in there. So I'm gonna make sure everything is nicely covered with seasoning. That should be just perfect. Okay. Next, we pop this puppy into the oven. And in about 45 minutes to an hour at 375, we should be eating good before you know it. Now that we've got that out of the way, what do you say we take this extra apple? And you might want to use 2 apples for this job. It couldn't do any harm. It gets those apples that you pick up in bags eaten fairly quickly too. And if you can use them in meals such as this one, this will make a lovely garnish for our presentation and a little something to eat on the side. So we're just going to cut that down into sections, little wedges here and there. This is going to make the most beautiful garnish for our filet mignon with apple. Okay, make sure that no cores are on my apple, because we don't want cores in our presentation either, especially if you're going to eat the garnish. That's the best part. Having a garnish that you can also eat. So it's not just to decorate the plate. It's there to eat as a dessert. Or, even if you're not getting enough apple flavor in your meal, there's plenty of it with an extra apple. 8 will be for the garnish. And then we'll know how many of these apple slices we can eat while we're cooking that food. I would go to apple. Alright. So we are going to need to boil up some water, about 2 cups worth. So let's get out of the frying pan. Okay, stay open then, I don't care. And we're going to get 2 cups worth of boiling water. A little more than 2 cups because some of it will get evaporated in the cooking process. So I like to put in just over the 2 cup line. And then we're going to let that boil. The moment you start seeing those bubbles go into a rolling boil, pull it, and we're going to put it right into this dish here and have us some au gratin potatoes. I haven't had these in a while, so this is going to be a delicious experience and a wonderful side item to have with our filet mignon. Ooh. Okay. And I want to get out the seasoning mix first. There it is. And then the rest, isn't it odd that they look like little potato chips? In fact, that's exactly what they are, potato chips. But you wouldn't want to eat them, because the more of those that you eat, well, just open up a bag of chips and eat them. But these are thicker cut, so you might not want to eat those as potato chips, and they're unsalted too, so you definitely don't want to eat those as potato chips. If you're really hungry for potato chips, open up a bag of Lay's and just really enjoy potato chips. But for our gratin potatoes, we're just going to use them for what they are meant for, and that's for making au gratin potatoes. Now, when you were a kid and your mother mentioned that she was going to make au gratin potatoes, didn't it always sound like she was going to make all rotten potatoes?
All rotten potatoes?
Wouldn't that be a weird analogy to go through your young minds as a kid? We're having au gratin potatoes. All rotten potatoes? Ew, gross! Why would you want to eat that? And why would a mother think that that would be a good idea to feed that to her child? Who knows? But rotten potatoes are awesome. All rotten potatoes, throw them away. Okay, so that's starting to boil. So while we are waiting for it to become a rolling boil, we are going to open up our boxes of macaroni and cheese. Now this time I figured, well, we've already done my crock pot macaroni and cheese. This time I'm just throwing together some plain old, good old, ordinary boxed macaroni and cheese with the powdered cheese.
Actually, oh man, that crock pot macaroni and cheese, oh my goodness, that was
good.
Good.
It was
That
great.
turned out so well.
Oh yes. Too bad it takes so long to cook, but it's
That's
worth it.
the other problem.
It is well worth it though. Alright, so let's open up our 3 boxes of mac and cheese because, hey, extra mac and cheese couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
And with 4 each of the filet mignons, we should be dining really well tonight. I don't want to have to hear, but I'm hungry. We also have au gratin potatoes, mac and cheese, and these fillets with bacon and apple for a garnish / dessert. How can you be hungry after all that? It can't be done.
With you it could.
Yeah, but this isn't Chinese food. If it were, though, I'd be hungry an hour later. Of course, everybody gets that way, but that's just beside the point.
Panda Express being one of them?
Yeah, especially Panda Express.
Even though their food's good, though.
Food's good, but they could make do with giving us more portions or giving us a little more bang for our buck, make the entrees cheaper. But they don't do that. They're too trendy. They're too trendy of a place to do that. So anyhow,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Well, that one's starting to reach a boil. You can see the bubbles already forming on the bottom of the what is the saucepan. And bubbles have already formed here. We just have to wait for it to actually reach a boil. That way I can throw the noodles in, get those going, and then getting that started on our au gratin potatoes. For the destructions, we have to put these into the oven at 450. Well, that's not going to work in a 375 degree oven. We may have to bump up the temperature of those fillets that are in there, but it should be okay. It should be just fine. If we did that, we'll just shorten the cooking time. You always got to keep an eye on what you're cooking, especially if you have to mess with the temperature, because they're not going to be in there for about an hour. Now we're going to probably throw them in there for about no more than 45 minutes. But we'll keep you updated on that with the 450 degree change so that we can cook our au gratin potatoes. Otherwise, you would cook them for about an hour, maybe a little more than that if you like them extra well done at 375. Couldn't possibly hurt. But if you cook it too fast, too hot, you're going to skip out on a lot of consistency. Your meat won't be as tender. Your meat will probably be a lot drier. So cooking it at an hour ensures that you get the best consistency and the best taste for your meals. So you cook it a little at a time, just leave them in there for a bit longer. And that's the reason why we always make sure that we have the right temperature when we're cooking things like meats or anything of the like that you put in there, especially when you're not cooking anything that requires a lot of moisture or makes its own moisture from the drippings and the juices that come out of your food. That's why we're constantly basting turkey when we're cooking it for 425 degrees. We're constantly basting our ham because of that same purpose. That's why you got to keep it moist, because high temperature will dry out your food faster than you can shake a stick at it. Okay, so that's starting to boil up. So before long, it won't be before long before we add that to our casserole dish and mix up some au gratin potatoes.
Actually, that's starting up pretty quick.
It is. So what do you say we go ahead and take this off before it reaches a rolling boil? Take it over here to our casserole dish, and we're just going to dump it straight in. There's that. And we can just put this over here. It only had water in it. Okay, so what I like to do at this point is I like to take the seasoning first and stir in the seasoning without the potatoes being in there. That ensures a full mix of your seasoning will be mixed into that water there. So we're just going to add the seasoning first before we even add the potatoes. Add the seasoning first, and then once you got your seasoning in there, go for your whisk. Now what the whisk will do is it will break through and really break up all of the bits that get chunked together, and it's going to really help break all of that down when you use a wire whisk as opposed to a stirring spoon. You can just do like this number. You don't have to worry about flinging liquid all over the place, and it's just a wonderful thing to have in your kitchen. You cannot survive without a whisk in the kitchen, especially if you aim to be a 5-star chef. You always got to know where your whisk is. Who said that anyway? Anyway.
I don't know who did say that.
Now we're adding our potatoes, and now that the sauce mixture is fully mixed without the potatoes getting in the way, now we can add our potatoes, and then we can just use our whisk that we used to mix up our mixture and just kind of pat those potatoes down into our liquid and spread them a little bit like that. Perfect. Now, we're ready for the oven, but now before we raise the temperature, so let's hit bake. 450. Okay, now we're going to take our au gratin potatoes and slide them into the oven. Okay, it might not fit.
You're not going to be able to fit that, yeah.
Nope, we'll just turn you on its side. Remember, folks, do not do what I do at home. I just know how to handle heat. So never, ever, 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 and I can't stress this enough, folks, never reach into an oven to pull out a pan with your bare hands if it's been on the if it's been baking for a while, because you never know how hot it's going to be when it reaches skin. But I've been doing this for years, and I'm very used to the high heat, so I can handle it. I also know how to control when it gets too hot to pull it away and then come back a little later. But it's all in the mind. It always has to be in the mind, not in the touch. The mind can manipulate the body into believing anything that the mind sets itself to believe. And that's also a very old psychological trick, by the way. So me knowing a lot about psychology, I'm going to need that. Because also, I'm forgetting something. Okay, once again, don't do what I do, folks. I can handle the heat, and that besides, that's not very hot. There's some heat to it, but not very much. Okay, I forgot to add a few ingredients to our water there. And it is calling for a 3/4 cup of milk and a tablespoon and a half of butter. I forgot. See, even 5-star chefs can forget things from time to time. But we just catch ourselves and we add it when nobody's looking. What are you looking at? Oh,
I don't know.
hello. I'm over here. Okay, so 2/3 cup of leche. A little more than that. No, that's perfect. Just that little amount of milk would make a huge difference in your au gratin potatoes. So I'm going to add that there. Okay. Now, because our sauce had already been mixed into the water, we just take the whisk and just kind of dot it around a bit with our potatoes inside. And then, that's fully mixed in. Put our milk away. Well, no, we're going to need it still. We're going to reach for our butter. And I'm going to eyeball this tablespoon and a half by using a standard spoon. I'm just going to eyeball that. That's about a tablespoon there. That's about that's about a half a tablespoon there. There we go. Tablespoon and a half of butter. Or margarine if you have margarine. That's it. Close her up. And kind of mix in our butter. Get it to the center there. And don't worry, folks. The oven baking process will take care of melting that butter right into our au gratin potatoes. You don't have to stir that in. I just wanted to get some of that butter off of that spoon. Anyway, back into the oven you go. Now that I've remembered all the ingredients that need to go with our au gratin potatoes, it's back into the oven with you. There we are. And now we look into our pot of boiling water, and surprisingly it is not boiling much since the last time we looked at it. I don't know why. Probably because I didn't have this turned on high enough. There we go. Now I'm starting to see bubbling action going. Let's go ahead and add our noodles in. Easy as 1, 2, 3. 3 boxes of mac and cheese. Alright, so now let's reach for our magical spoon and give our mac and cheese a magical mix. Kind of loosen up the noodles a bit because you don't want those noodles to stick together. And if you're not using oil in there, which nobody really throws oil in there whenever they make mac and cheese, since we're not using oil, we're gonna have to rely on stirring them a little constantly when they first go in there to make sure that your noodles don't stick all together. Yeah, so what we're going to do now, folks, we're going to turn down the heat just slightly back to the way it was and make sure that this doesn't boil over and make sure that our pork chops are cooking effectively. We're going to check on them every 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that they're not overcooked, they're not undercooked, and they're bringing up just fine in that 450-degree oven, because those au gratin potatoes are taking up all of the endurance of this oven, because it needs a higher temperature to cook and make sure that your potatoes will come out nice and soft, not firm. So while we're waiting for all of that magic to happen, what do you say we use a little camera magic and turn this empty little spot, okay, maybe not that spot, but maybe we can turn this part of the counter from these apple slices into an empty plate. An empty plate. Really? Is this what my camera magic has turned into? An empty plate? Man, I thought we were going to be seeing a completed meal here. Not an empty plate.
Not yet. Apparently.
That's not it. That's not it. No. Come on. What is the spell to bring it back? Wait. I know what it is. Porcus choppius. That's the spell. That's what made it work, folks. You had to say the magic word. Porcus choppius. And there it is. Our pork chop, apple bacon wrapped pork chop filet mignon is ready. Look at that. And that's only 30 minutes in the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And it is ready to go. Look at how delicious that looks, folks. I can't wait to bite into that. So, you have our bacon, and inside the bacon we have our apple, and some of the bacon slices did not want to stay down, which is the beauty of toothpicks that will hold everything down. So as you can see where the apple was left exposed, of course it's going to be a little bit on the crispy side, but it's still going to taste wonderful. Over here we have our macaroni and cheese, and it's just sitting there waiting to be eaten. Inside the oven is our already done au gratin potato. That's what it's supposed to look like when it's done. So 25 to 30 minutes on that, and about 30 minutes on our filet mignon at 450 degrees. Now that's a little bit different than cooking it for an hour, so let's hope and pray that the consistency of our filet mignon is about as tender as they come. What do you say we get this served up, and we'll do a taste test right here on the show just for you, because we like you a lot. We want to make sure that what we're preparing for you is delicious enough to take home. So here's our mac and cheese, and here's some mac and cheese, and here's more mac and cheese. Hey, I like mac and cheese, all right? Stop making fun of me. And more mac and cheese. Next comes the au gratin potato. I'm going to use a towel to hold this in place as we extract our au gratin potato.
Potato?
Potato.
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 What did that sound? What is that?
I'm trying to make it sound like French. French.
French?
French. Au gratin potato. Oui, oui, monsieur. Okay, let's get half of that out of there, and then I'll give the other half to Wolf Dog. Lucky you. Okay.
Yay.
Okay, there's that. Now, we reach in for our very scrumptious, wonderful, outrageously delicious pork chop filet mignon with apple. Okay, there's one. I'll take one of those weird looking ones too. There's two. There's three. And a four. We each get four. Isn't that lucky? Look at that. Alright.
I'll probably end up starting off with 3 and see what I can do with the other one.
And if I can still eat another one after that, I'll probably eat the last one.
I'm sure you would.
And finally, to garnish our plate with some of the excess apple slices you can find, it really makes the dish look so marvelous. There it is. There's our beautiful dish, and a lovely presentation, and a very delicious mess that this will be. So first of all, the taste test. How is the mac and cheese, you ask? Tastes like a box of mac and cheese. Nothing special about that. Nope. Nothing special. Next, the au gratin potato. Very hot, but very good. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. I'm going to take a little off the top here. I want to get a cut of all of the flavors together. Bacon, apple, pork chop. Son of a beast. I'll steal you then. Oh, hot.
Well, I gotta tell you that.
That's good. That's good. Oh, you're going to love this dish, folks. I guarantee it. If you're a fan of bacon and pork chop and apple, I urge everyone to try this recipe. You're going to love it. The people you make it for are going to love it. And you just can't get enough. I think I really outdid myself tonight. So if you want a different twist to your filet mignon, try it with apple and wrap the whole thing around with apple wedges and the pork chop and the bacon, and try it with some seasoning. My God, that is good. So have it with some au gratin potatoes, some macaroni and cheese, or if you have any other sides floating around your house, feel free to throw that in too. It works with any vegetable, any side dish, anything that will accent this dish properly. Go ahead and use. There are no rules. For Cooking with SonicBlu, this is SonicBlu Darkfold, inviting you to come and join us again in our kitchen, where we might be making something that might be right up your alley, or up the alleys of the people you live with. And remember, if you're not cooking good, you're not eating good. And I'm going to definitely be eating some really good stuff tonight. Freaking fantastic. So then, we have a full pot of macaroni and cheese. Sorry I didn't put the finishing touches together while you were watching, but I figure everybody in the world knows how to make macaroni and cheese, and if you don't know how to make mac and cheese, then there is a serious problem, and you need therapy. Why? I don't know. Everybody in the world knows how to make mac and cheese. Even Doofus knows how to make mac and cheese.
There is one person that doesn't know how to make mac and cheese.
Well, that's because he's too lazy to make mac and cheese.
You know what I mean?
Because
at least you know who I'm talking about.
Yes, we all know who he's talking about, and unfortunately the viewers do not. But, you see, he can't even make this mac and cheese, which is sad, really. All you have to do is add water and throw it in a microwave, and he can't even do that simple thing. But anyway, I digress. If you all know who we were talking about, folks, you would find it funny, unfortunately.
Yeah, watch Slushy tries to blurt it out, watch. Because he knows who we're talking about. And Slushy, yes, do not blurt it out.
Because the consequences will be very difficult to deal with.
Oh, damn, you actually managed, man, you managed to do that in a burp. Damn, that's impressive.
Wow. Wow.
I don't think
I could have done the alphabet and had room to spare with that one. Wow.
Yeah, but you didn't just say the alphabet. You had to say an actual sentence.
Statement. There we go. That's better than an alphabet. I did a whole statement.
That's
okay,
funny.
so that's really well mixed in. Let's check on our food. Let's see. The au gratin potatoes are just now starting to come up. They're not done yet. But we figured we'd have something for our closing credits since we didn't have many bloopers during the filming of this episode. So you'll be seeing this as the credits roll up through the sky. And there goes another name there. Yep, there goes another really piece of information you need to keep in mind. Yeah, I need to figure out. There goes another one. Okay, good. Yep, okay. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? Me. I hope so. Because if I don't get appreciated around here, there's definitely something wrong. Vaping in the kitchen, even though I'm not allowed to, but frig it.
Remember, this is a family show.
Family show.
Not really, but you know.
Lucky there's a family show.
Oh, jeez, no.
One to entertain us with puppets and ventriloquism. Okay, I'm making this up as I go. Alright, come on, water.
He's a messed up guy.